The views expressed on this broadcast of the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show are those of the co-host and guest and do not necessarily reflect those of our affiliates. The topics and opinions on today's show should not be considered as medical, psychological, or professional advice. Take 12 Radio is not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship. And now, here are your co-hosts, Nathan A. and the Monty Man.
That is the prelude to Dixie Chicken by Little Feat. We're going to hear a little bit more from them in a minute. So, well, welcome everybody to this wonderful broadcast of Take 12 Radio with myself and the Nate Dog. Hey, buddy, how are you?
What's up, buddy? Doing great. And yourself?
Yeah, well, chipper. It's a wonderful day outside. Getting a new fence built up by some scallywag and his construction crew. Do you have a website?
I do.
You do? What's the address?
NathanAdamsConstruction.com.
NathanAdamsConstruction.com. Well, Nathan Adams Construction is building a new fence around the Take 12 Radio studio to protect everybody, or protect us from all you nuts out there that would break in and have your way with us. So Nate's in the studio, and we got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about the several different kinds of drinkers that the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous talks about, but we're going to kind of reword it to include narcotic addicts, and it's in the chapter 2 wives. So I'm going to change some wording in there, so it's not just about women folk and that, but just about anybody who is wondering what's going on with my loved one. They're doing some of this stuff and I can't figure it out. I mean, I know they're productive people. They're very talented. They're hard workers, and they just keep falling into this mess. What's going on? So we're going to do a little investigative reporting, so to speak. Before we do that, though, we got to do Take 12 trivia. But before that, a couple of things that came across my desk here. The website, The Addict's Mom, Barbara T., the founder of that, I read a short note that she posted, and I just felt compelled to read this to you guys. She says, my son has had his 4 front teeth knocked out by the police after covering his badge. An officer told my son to look down and knocked his 4 front teeth out. As shocking as it sounds, this is not uncommon to be abused in jail. So this happened in jail. And by the way, she's not some flighty weirdo or something like that. She's a well-established member of the recovery treatment community, and the addict's mom is recognized by Marie Shriver. I mean, they're very, very well known. She goes on to say, it's time we offer professional, expert-run, evidence-based treatment instead of using jail as so-called treatment. It is also time we hold the police, prosecutors, and others in power accountable as they refuse to acknowledge or investigate the abuse by the legal system of people with mental illness and addiction. I encourage our legal communities to cooperate and collaborate with the mental health professionals. The current system is broken, costly, and returns our mentally ill to a harsh society where they are not prepared to fully function and be productive. Thus, the cycle begins again. So, abuse in jail is not unheard of. I witnessed it when I was in prison. Did you happen to see any of that going on when you were incarcerated?
Being abused?
Yeah, I mean, by the officers of the law, treating the inmates less than human?
At times, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know that being incarcerated for nonviolent drug offenses is costing people much more money than a year treatment would.
A lot of money.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Oh, my goodness.
It's ridiculous.
I heard the stats the other day, and it just took my breath away. Like, are you kidding me?
Right. Bring that a little closer, bud. There you go. Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, I know. It's absolutely ridiculous. And we just keep throwing people in prison, and they become repeat offenders because they're not getting any treatment. They're not getting any counseling. And the little that they do get, you got a sheriff or a guard standing right over them while they're trying to spill their guts to somebody for the first time. They're not going to do it.
Just like my son.
Right.
He was 16, got arrested and for just a kid thing, and ended up. But make a long story short, he's got a 10-year sentence, and he's been in isolation for 3 years or something, 4 years.
Yeah.
He gets out an hour a day. Now that's torture for a kid developing. He just needed someone to love on him and guide him.
Yeah.
Deal with some of his stuff. So I get that.
And what we're creating is we create, we build these Frankenstein monsters, we release them into the wild, and then we punish them for acting like Frankenstein. I mean, it's ridiculous, and we're creating it. And so for those of you out there that think that prison is the answer, just lock them up. Let me tell you, there is a place for that. Yes, there is. We need to be accountable for our actions. But for people, when it comes to drug and alcohol abuse, and when it comes to what's going on, particularly with nonviolent crimes and crimes of possession and so forth, come on, give me a break. That's why I'm so in favor of drug court, because drug court really works well.
It's actually a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. Check this out. Fort Lauderdale, a South Florida doctor. We're talking about abuse from the criminal justice system. This is abuse right from the treatment facility. A South Florida doctor, and I've edited this because I'm not going to mention any names, and 2 healthcare workers have been charged with healthcare fraud, which cost Medicare more than $11 million. Those indicted included a Broward County doctor, a licensed nurse practitioner, and former Miami resident and medical health counselor. The 3 were indicted on charges of conspiracy to commit healthcare fraud, and false statements related to healthcare matters. Authorities said they submitted over $55 million worth in false and fraudulent claims to Medicare through a Miami-based clinic. The clinic operated a program which is a form of intensive treatment for severe mental illness. The 3 of them would admit people who were ineligible for the program and then fraudulently billed for services that were never provided. Those considered ineligible are chronic substance abusers and those who suffer from severe dementia and would not benefit from the therapy. Federal officers said that the doctor authorized the treatment of patients that he knew were ineligible for the treatment. They also conducted sham therapy sessions for the ineligible patients. As a result of the treatment of those patients considered ineligible, Medicare paid the clinic over $11 million.
Wow.
Various owners, a doctor, managers, therapists, patient brokers, and other employees of the clinic have been charged with various healthcare fraud, kickback money laundering, and other offenses in 3 other indictments. The clinic's owners, along with more than 25 of the individual defendants charged in the case, have pleaded guilty.
Wow.
Or have been convicted at trial. So here they're taking money, and they're saying they're doing something that they're not doing.
Wow.
Treating people that are ineligible that they really can't treat, they're not capable of treating. So they're just kind of running them through the cycle, and they're pocketing the money. No wonder insurance companies don't want to pay treatment centers. I mean, come on.
That's ridiculous.
Willikers. So I just thought that was some interesting stuff. But there's hope on the horizon, because that is the exception to the rule. It really is. But, there's corruption in every aspect of life, not just in treatment facilities, not just in the criminal justice system, but all over the place. And, our responsibility is to carry the message to the addict and alcoholic who still suffers, and to keep our side of the street clean. Sometimes that's all you can do. All right, so let's see here. We're going to take our first break, come back. We're going to play Take 12 Trivia. This week, it's Internet Trivia, just for Nathan.
All right.
Just for Nathan. Internet terms, actually. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
I never missed a day of work.
I wasn't living under a bridge.
I wasn't using needles.
But I'm lying to my family.
I'm lying to my friends.
I'm lying to myself.
I tried talking to my doctor.
I tried religion.
I tried therapy.
I couldn't stop.
Then I found a safe place, Narcotics Anonymous.
And I stopped using drugs and got clean.
I stopped.
I stopped.
You can stop too.
For general information or meetings in your area, check your local newspaper or visit na.org. Free by the Sea, Sunset View Drug and Alcohol Recovery Center offers an inpatient residential treatment program for drug and alcohol addiction. Through our many years of experience treating addictions, we know that the best way to ensure successful treatment outcomes is by removing the client from the people, places, and things associated with their addictions. By reducing these distractions, we are able to give our clients the opportunity to fully engage in the treatment process and learn the coping skills they will need in order to begin a new life free from addiction. For more information, visit our website at www.freebythesea.com or call 800-272-9199. That's 800-272-9199. Free by the Sea, charting a new course to recovery.
As men and women who have recovered from utterly hopeless states of addiction ourselves, we know all too well what it's like to battle addiction daily. We are Origins Recovery Centers. Here at Origins, we have taken that which we have learned along the way, excised anything unhelpful and unnecessary, infused it with the latest medical research and innovative therapeutic methods, and created what we know to be the absolute gold standard in substance abuse treatment. And Origins provides the most preeminent aftercare and relapse prevention program available in the United States. For a free confidential clinical assessment, call toll-free 888-843-8935. That's 888-843-8935. Origins, delivering real solutions for real families.
Yes, Nathan is anticipating Take 12 Trivia.
By the way, I kind of want to go take a vacation at City by the Sea.
At Free by the Sea?
Free by the Sea.
Oh, dude.
That sounds pretty rad.
We need to just get in the car and go up there.
Spend a week.
It takes it takes about 3 hours. It was a beautiful drive.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
That's the one by the bridge?
Yeah. No, it's on the other side of the bridge. There's Astoria Point's on this side of the bridge, and that treatment center, and then it's another half hour on the other side of the bridge in Ocean Park.
I heard that those people are real genuine and really care.
Oh my gosh,
it's a pretty great place.
It's amazing. In fact, they're going to be here. Two of the clients and the driver. Once a month, we do a show, Free by the Seas, and they're going to be here at 11 o'clock today. And we're going to tape the show for this month. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so you may be around. You may be working on the fence.
What a
you
treat.
may get to meet these guys.
That's right. I'm see if they got any room for a break. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. Well, hey, listen, we got an open invitation. You come up there for a few days. They'll give us a place. They have a room that they set up for that, you know, and just come up and visit and go to the meetings, and
that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. Okie dokie. This week's Take 12 Trivia is brought to you by BroadHighwayRecovery.com. Visit their website at BroadHighwayRecovery.com. I'm so redundant.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Let's cue up the Take 12 Trivia theme music.
Where's Cecil?
Cecil's been on sabbatical. Boom. Cecil's been on sabbatical. Cecil's had some issues.
She's kind of a turd sometimes.
Kind of, yeah. Well, let's just put it this way. Cecil's in treatment.
Good. She needs it.
She's but when she comes out, she'll be back. She'll be back on the show. Oh Lord, we're so sick. Oh, okay. Okay. These are internet terms. All right. There's 3 and a bonus. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. The term spam. Okay. Here are your choices. What is it? Where did it come from? Is it named after lunch meat? Is it inspired by the Monty Python folks? Or both?
Both.
You are absolutely correct. Let me see if I get... There's the bell. Whee! Spam is, of course, digital junk mail. Sent to your email or left in blog comments or forum comments, but it is also a well-known brand of canned lunch meat. And in the legendary 1970s Spam sketch from the TV comedy series Monty Python's Flying Circus, a cafe waiter recites a menu that only contains Spam and dishes containing Spam. As the waiter recites the menu, a chorus of Viking patrons drown out all conversations singing spam, 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 lovely spam, wonderful spam. They, in effect, spam the dialogue. The excessive use of the word spam in the sketch was mirrored online in early chat rooms where abusive users would repeat spam many times until it scrolled other users' text off the screen. Since then, the word spam has been used for excessive multiple posting and junk messages. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. The internet term blog. Blog. Is it, number one, short for bad log? 2, from 2 words, web and log? Or 3, black inked diary? Short for bad log, comes from 2 words, web and log, or black ink diary.
Black ink diary.
You know, that's what Colin guessed too. And that's probably what I would have guessed, but it's actually from 2 words, web and log. Blog is an odd word, which means an online diary that usually viewable by the public. The word actually comes from a blend of 2 words, web and log, using the last letter in web, B, and then log. A weblog was the first name for an online diary and was coined in 1997 by John Barger. The shortened name blog was first used by Peter Merholtz, who broke it up into the words weblog. It was called weblog originally in 1999. After that, the word blog has been used as a verb and a noun and is the lead word blogger in the word blogger or blogging. Okay, number 3. You can redeem yourself here. Twitter. Twitter. Is it named after the derogatory term twit, as in you stupid twit? Is it inspired by the word flicka, or is it short for typewriter writer?
Short for the word flicka.
You are correct. Was that a lucky guess?
Maybe.
Yeah, okay. Twitter is a microblogging social networking website where you can post messages of no more than 140 characters to your followers. But did you know that the original name considered for Twitter was Twitter, inspired by Flicka? The creators changed this to the full word we know now when it was launched in 2006. Jack Dorsey, one of Twitter's creators, said this about the name they chose. We came across the word Twitter, and it was just perfect. The definition was a short burst of insequential information and chirps from birds. And that's exactly what the product was. Weird. All right, here's your bonus. So you could win this. You could win the trip.
I'm ready.
Google. Google. Is it short for gargoyle? Is it short for Googleitics, meaning to search? Or is it a misspelling of a mathematical term?
Googleistic.
Googleistic? Well, you kind of tied yourself there, so you don't get to go on the trip, buddy. It's actually a deliberate misspelling of the word gogol, a mathematical number meaning 1 followed by 100 zeros. The name of this number was coined by the young nephew of mathematician Edward Kanzner in 1938. Edward asked his 9-year-old nephew to think up a name for a very big number and came up with gogol. He just said gogol. He then came up with the name of an even larger number, which was Gogolplex. Google used this word, changing the spelling when they registered their domain name in 1997. Interesting stuff, huh?
Very
stuff
interesting. Thank you for teaching me that, man.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
What a
stuff.
treasure to learn that stuff.
I know. Now you can go on with life.
If I ever get asked that or ever end up on Jeopardy, I got this.
And you know what? If you ever, get tempted to relapse, just remember what you learned on Take 12
That's
Trivia,
right.
and it'll keep you clean and sober.
I believe you're right.
Yeah, that's right. All right. That's it for Take 12
Spam.
Trivia. Spam, spam, spam. Dun, 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 dun. Beep. All right, let's hear from Therapy in Serenity Springs, and we'll come back and let's talk about the 4 kinds of drinkers and drug addicts. Don't go away.
In the time it takes to pour your morning coffee, a child is abused. In the time it takes for you to tie your shoes, a child is intentionally injured. In the time it takes to lock your door, a child is neglected. In the time it takes for you to turn on the evening news, a child is forgotten. And in the time it takes for you to get from morning coffee to evening news, 4 of those children have died. Don't wait. Take action. If you know of or even suspect child abuse, please call 1-800-422-4453. That's 1-800-4-A-CHILD. Or go to www.childhelp.org. Counselors are available 24/7. All calls are confidential. Bring hope. Bring an end to child abuse. This message brought to you by the Foundation for the Prevention and Treatment of Child Abuse.
Hey there, this is the Monty Man from Take 12 Recovery Radio. You know, many of us have attended all sorts of addiction symposiums and treatment conventions, and so much of the time we walk away from these events feeling like we've been preaching to the choir just one more time. May I suggest a different kind of substance abuse and addiction treatment event? The Evolution of Addiction Treatment Conference, February 5th through the 8th, 2015, at the Westin Los Angeles Airport Hotel and Convention Center. The current field of substance abuse and addiction treatment has been evolving for almost 8 decades now, and during this time we have seen many important developments as well as many failed experiments. It seems time to step back and conduct a professional inventory of where we have been, where we are now, and where we are heading. Well, this conference will provide a forum that encourages professional dialogues of controversial issues, showcases innovative and creative treatment approaches, and offers an overview of the field and its future. For more information, visit www.theevolutionofaddictiontreatment.com. Join me and many of my guests as we attend the Evolution of Addiction Treatment Conference, February 5th through the 8th, at the Westin Los Angeles Airport Hotel and Convention Center, 2015.
Men, women, and their families experience tremendous pain and suffering due to the struggles they face from substance abuse and its co-occurring mental health challenges. They need to find a safe place for peace and healing. Therapia Addiction Healing Center was born out of a deep desire to provide that safe and powerful healing environment. Therapia exists to help people recover from addictions by developing and maintaining healthy, meaningful relationships with God, self, and others. To speak with an addiction specialist, call 1-855-652-4325. That's 1-855-652-4325. Or visit our website at www.therapia.net. Therapia Addiction Healing Center, restoring lives one step at a time.
Serenity Springs Recovery Center, located on the beautiful east coast of Florida. A unique facility that is committed to providing exceptional individual care in small group settings while utilizing their experienced and dedicated clinical and support staff of licensed therapists and doctors. Visit their website, serenityspringsrecovery.com, or call 386-423-4540. Serenity Springs, making a life-changing investment into your recovery. You're just a vain all you listeners out there, you're so vain.
What's the definition of vain?
Vain?
Leave it alone there, buddy.
Only a drug addict would ask that question, and only
a
drug addict would think what I'm thinking.
I know. What's the dude screaming like, Monty's so vain? What's he saying?
Saying I'm stuck on myself.
You're just a stuck-up guy.
You know, but I'm thinking now I got the word stuck and vain. So I'm thinking needle and I'm thinking arm. What is it? Normies don't do that.
Nasty, nasty man.
Normal people don't think that way.
No. He's so vain.
Let's talk about people that just don't fit the normal bill. You know, and everybody knows I don't believe there's any normies anyway. Everybody's got something that they that seems to be they're in trouble with. But let's talk about the.
Jeez, man,
I'm losing it. Did you know I have a $5 reward certificate for Petco?
What?
Why is that even relevant?
I have no idea, but you just pulled it out of your stack.
I just thought I would let you know.
That with my listeners. You're trying to set up a trivia.
Oh, gosh. All right. Maybe we'll do pet trivia next week. Okay. In the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, there's a chapter called Two Wives that was not, by the way, written by a woman. It was written by Bill W. And his wife, Lois, carried that resentment to the grave because she wanted to write that and he wouldn't do it. But I'm going to change the wording a little bit.
You could tell it's written by Bill, too.
I know. But it is really good. And it gives a great description of the four kinds of drinkers. And so if you're a family member of or a loved one of someone who's an active addict or active alcoholic, listen up. Because you may be asking yourself this question, and this might help you to understand them a little bit. So starting on page 107 of the third edition of the big book, Two Wives, it asks a question. How could men, and like I said, I'm going to change the wording a little bit. How could men or women who loved their families and their children be so unthinking, so callous, so cruel, referring to their active addictions? There could be no love in such a person, we thought. And just as we were being convinced of their heartlessness, they would surprise us with fresh resolves and new attentions. For a while, they would be their old sweet selves, only to dash the new structure of affection to pieces once more. Talking about relapse here. Ask why they commenced to drink again or use again, they would reply with some silly excuse or none. It was so baffling, so heartbreaking. Could we have been so mistaken in the men and women we married? When drinking or using, they were strangers. Sometimes they were so inaccessible that it seemed as though a great wall had been built around them. And even if they did not love their families, how could they be so blind about themselves? What had become of their judgment, their common sense, their willpower? Why could they not see that drinking and using meant ruin to them? Why was it when these dangers were pointed out that they agreed and then drank or used immediately? These are some of the questions which race through the mind of every family member who has an alcoholic or addict in their family. We hope this book has answered some of them. Perhaps your loved one has been living in that strange world of addiction where everything is distorted, and you can see that he or she really does love you with his better self or her better self. Of course, there is such a thing as incapability, but in nearly every instance, the alcoholic or addict only seems to be unloving and inconsiderate. It is usually because he is warped and sickened, and that he or she says and does these appalling things. Today, most of our men and women are better husbands and wives and fathers and mothers than ever before. Try not to condemn your alcoholic or addict husband or wife, no matter what he or she says or does. They are just very sick, and they are very unreasonable. treat them when you can as though they had pneumonia. When they anger you, remember that they're very ill. So that's kind of hard. Well, just treat them like they're sick. Right? That's kind of easy to read and easy to say.
Right.
But when you're in the mess...
Right.
Okay. There is an important exception to the foregoing. We realize some folks are thoroughly bad-intended, and no amount of patience will make any difference. An alcoholic of this temperament may be quick to use this chapter as a club over your head. Don't let them get away with it. If you are positive they are one of these type, you may feel you had better leave. It is right to let them ruin you. Is it right to let them ruin your life and the lives of your children, especially when he or she has before them a way to stop their drinking and using and abuse, if they really want to pay the price? So they're talking about the sociopath. They're not talking about the heavy drinker, and they're not talking about the alcoholic. They're talking about the sociopath. They just,
right.
You can't change them. There's something going on there. Mm-hmm. So we're not going to talk about them. Okay, we'll put that aside. Usually, the problem falls in these 4 categories that I'm about to read. Number 1. Your loved one may be only a heavy drinker. The drinking may be constant, or it may be heavy only on certain occasions. Perhaps they spend too much money for liquor or for drugs. It may be slowing them up mentally and physically, but he or she doesn't see it. Sometimes it is a source of embarrassment to you and your friends and their friends. He or she is positive they can handle their liquor or their dope or their whatever, that it does them no harm, and that using is necessary in their business.
Wow.
That would be particularly the case in the old days when it came with alcohol.
Right.
He or she would probably be insulted if they were called an alcoholic or an addict. This world is full of people like them. Some will moderate or stop altogether, some will not. Of those who keep on, a good number will become true alcoholics or addicts after a while. So this suggests that a person not only can be genetically have a disposition to it, but they can actually create it by abuse. Mm-hmm. That alcoholism or addiction can actually become something that didn't start out genetic, but created, that the body turned to that. Mm-hmm. But we're talking about the heavy drinker here, or the heavy user. They haven't crossed the line yet. The second kind, number 2, your loved one is showing lack of control, for he or she is unable to stay on the water wagon even when they want to. So in other words, they can't stay clean and sober even if they want to. They often get entirely out of hand when drinking or using. They admit this is true, but it is positive. They say that it'll get better. He or she has begun to try, with or without your cooperation, various means of moderating or staying clean and sober. Maybe they are beginning to lose their friends. Their business may suffer somewhat. He or she is worried at times and is becoming aware that they cannot drink or use like other people. They sometimes drink or do drugs in the morning and through the day, also to hold their nervousness in check. They are remorseful after serious binges and tells you they want to stop. But when they get over the spree, they begin to act out in the behavior all over again. And it starts out moderately, and then it just grows. We think this person is in danger. These are the earmarks of a real alcoholic or addict. Perhaps he or she can still tend to business fairly well, and by no means is everything ruined yet. Mm-hmm. So this is a person who said, yeah, I know I got a problem, but they just can't stop.
Right.
Was that you? Or were you belligerent, like I don't have a problem?
Oh, I definitely knew.
You definitely knew? Mm-hmm. Right from the get-go?
Oh, yeah. I'm an extremist. You know me.
Yeah.
I don't just drink and miss a day of work. I drink and break out in handcuffs or something.
You go.
I go all out. I'm just bad like that. I've never been a functioning alcoholic, or I've never been functioning at nothing. Ever.
And then, okay, now there's number 3. This is the third kind. This person has gone much further than the other 2. Though once like number 2, they became worse. Their friends have slipped away. Their home is in a near wreck, and they cannot hold a position. Maybe the doctor has been called in, and the weary round of sanitariums and hospitals has begun. Today we would say maybe they've been in jail a lot. Maybe they've been to the mental institution. They admit they cannot drink and use like other people, but they don't know why. They cling to the notion they will yet find a way to do so. So in other words, I know I can. There's a way that I could actually do this. I could smoke a little pot. I could drink a little booze. There's got to be a way. They may have come to the point they desperately want to stop but cannot. His or her case presents additional questions which we shall try to answer for you. You can be quite hopeful of a situation like this. So this person has really gone down. I mean, they've lost everything. This is that bottom we talk about. And so this is why they're saying this could be very, very hopeful. But they still have that little bit of an inkling that says, someday I could drink like a normal person. Right. Now, I don't know about, when I say use like a normal person, I guess there are functional users out there. I know a guy that smokes pot every single day, and you would swear he was clean as a whistle. I don't get it. I don't know how he does it. Nothing bad happens, but I got to say that I'm sure his body isn't doing well. Okay, and here's number 4. You may have a husband or wife or a loved one for whom you completely despair. He or she has been placed in one institution after another. They are violent or appears definitely insane when drinking or using. Sometimes they drink on the way home from the hospital. That reminds me of getting out of prison, right, and swearing off the stuff forever. Yeah. And the day you get out, you're meeting your dealer. You know what I'm saying? Perhaps he or she has had delirium tremors. In my case, I had OD'd on intravenous cocaine use, and probably had a heart attack and didn't even realize it. I'm not doing that again. Not 2 hours later, doing it again. Doctors may shake their heads and advise you to have them committed. Maybe you have already been obliged to put them away. This picture may not be as dark as it looks. Many of our loved ones were just as far gone, yet they got well. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing the heavy drinker or the drug user or abuser. And then we're seeing somebody that may have started out that way and crossed the line. We know that there are people that never cross the line. But once you cross that line, you have little or no control of how much you drink or use. And when you're sober and clean, you can't stay that way.
Right.
And then we watch the progression as it gets worse. So where were you in that, man? I mean, did you end up stage number 4?
Oh yeah, there's that story a couple chapters back in that book about the jaywalking dude,
right?
And this to me and you with sane brains, basically a dude loves to jaywalk, and he jaywalks and breaks his arms, goes to the hospital, and I go, "What the hell are you jaywalking for?" And he goes, "I'm not going to jaywalk anymore." Goes out, jaywalks again, breaks his back, does it 3 or 4 times to where he's a gimp. And you look at that and go, all the dude has to do is stop jaywalking.
Yeah,
that's insane. Yeah. But that's kind of how this disease is. It's totally insane.
It is.
It's not prejudiced. It doesn't matter if my baby boy's looking at me when that compulsion is in me. Doesn't matter if my kids. I mean, I've made some bad decisions around that stuff. And if I look back at it now, one of the big things for me is. The biggest thing for me was guilt and shame, because
that would drive you back out.
Well,
or
just over the stuff, because right now, if I meet a person and he does things like I did, I'm going to go, I don't want nothing to do with that guy. He's a bad guy. And all of a sudden, what we say is that the tricky part that a lot of normies hang up on is that
right.
me and you, or we have a disease, and it's hard, especially for me, at the beginning, was to, I know I have to take responsibility for it, but I just felt like a total dirtbag, and I couldn't get that feeling to go away. Because, you think about it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go to jail anymore, son, and next thing you know, you're in jail looking at your kid through glass. Horrible things like that, So I know some people out there that don't understand if their loved one, their son, their husband's going through this disease, it's
hard for them to comprehend.
It's hard to, some of the best people I know are recovering.
Yeah.
And what they were before was not a good thing.
Right.
Some of the most talented, in the circles we're
loving,
in,
compassionate.
And people would probably say that about me, but when I was in my things, I was pretty.
Sure.
I was pretty bad, So it's hard. It's easy for a Norman to go, well, just strap your boots up. They're choosing and they're doing this and they're doing that. But I'm telling you, when that compulsion kicks in and that allergy's in full swing, it's a pretty different, until Bob started talking about stuff like that, the world had no clue.
Yeah, and I think this might help people understand a little bit. And you said the word insane. That word actually comes from a legal term that was created in Europe years ago. I mean, there was a law that if you stole an apple out of an apple cart, they'd chop your hand off. Mm-hmm. Well, they realized they couldn't go around chopping people's hands off because they'd steal with the other hand. Even though they got their hand chopped off, they're like, what is going on here? Why are people doing this? And so they came up with the insanity plea that says, this person, their thinking there's something wrong with their thinking. We can't go chopping off limbs. Their thinking's messed up. We need to correct their thinking. And so that became a term that courts use all the time now, sometimes to a fault. But, when somebody says, what were you thinking? That's a very relevant question because we weren't. And we'll ask ourselves that. What was I thinking? Well, you weren't. Or people will say, are you crazy? Yes. We are strangely insane. Because I don't know about you, Nathan, but other than the sociopath, which we talked about in the very beginning, other than them aside, which, by the way, people that are sociopathic are usually born that way. They don't know. They really don't know right from wrong.
Yeah.
They'll strangle a little parakeet to death when they're 5 years old, not know why.
Right.
A 12-step program is not enough for that. They need some very specialized care, but we're not talking about the sociopath. Yeah. So other than that, I don't know anyone who wakes up in the morning in their right mind and says, today I'm going to cheat on my wife. I'm going to lose that relationship. My kids, I'm going to alienate my children. I'm going to go and shoot the neighbor's dog in the head for barking. I'm going to drive my car off the ravine. I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to beat my best friend to a pulp. Just the list goes on and on of all the things we do in that in active addiction. To do that, to plan that out, to do that would either be sociopathic or would be absolutely insane. Mm-hmm. So it has to be insane. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we're not thinking. And so when somebody says, why can't you just pull yourself up by your bootstraps? Are you crazy? The answer is yes, I am. And what do we do with that?
See, and that's, a normie would hear this and go, well, but let me tell you, there's a part in a place where we take responsibility and we own up and we clean the wreckage of our past.
Because they think sometimes we're not doing that.
Yeah, trust me. Yeah. There's a whole deep process and things that we do to clean up our past and make our amends. I mean, that's all part of our steps and things that we do. So, you know.
Yeah.
So I know normies go, well, dude, you did all that, and all of a sudden you're going to say you were broken and let it go. It's not like that. Because the whole success thing is an inner peace and a spiritual awakening inside, and that all comes from dealing with stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I remember we were doing a workshop on the steps, and we were at step 2, and we had a heckler in the group. He says, and he made the statement. He says, "Why doesn't anybody ever talk about the victim?" You know, that's a bad word to shoot out there for those of us that are in recovery, because we're learning not to be the victim anymore. Nobody talks about the victim. When is the victim going to get their due? I mean, you guys have screwed people over for years. We're getting there. We're going to be at that step. We're only at step 2 right now.
Yeah, we're just trying to.
But the truth of the matter is, people that do take the 12-step process seriously and do work it as directed are some of the most responsible people in the world. They make amends. They make things right. They set right the wrongs. We are in no way in the recovery community that is serious about recovery blaming our disease, our illness at all. We could do that. We may even be correct in saying, I do this because of this. But we don't stay there. We say, you know what? Now that I recognize that, now I have some tools, I can make it right. So people that think that we just blame all our problems on our alcoholism or drug addiction, they haven't been listening, or they haven't done the investigation. They watched too many, Hallmark specials, or too many, was that Lifetime? Where they do that, where people will do that.
And I will bet you I bet 6 to 10 people listening to this program know somebody in their life that is just a wonderful person to the core.
Right.
That disease has turned them into Jekyll. Somebody has literally witnessed the most caring, loving person ever, and then witnessed the monster that he is when he's in his addiction.
Yeah.
I mean, that's black and white for me. And so,
what do you think of? We both know people that would say this is not a choice. I mean, I'm sorry, that this is a choice, that you're making a decision to act out in this behavior, that this is not an illness. Actually, the disease is only used once in the big book. The illness is used a lot. And it's a spiritual, it refers to it as a spiritual disease. But there are people particularly in circles of faith, that would say that, this is a sin issue. This is a moral issue. This has nothing to do with any kind of illness or disease. You're making these choices out of your own free will. What would you say to them?
Well, we have a friend that's a perfect example of that's going through what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
And see, here's the glitcher to the whole thing, in my opinion. Now that I'm able to have a day clean and free and how I did it, I do have a choice to
now
do
you
some
do.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that I found a way out, now if I decide and I go and be naughty, that first choice, I have a choice.
Right.
And then my disease kicks in, and then I start losing the choice. So, what was the question?
Well, people that would say it's a moral issue and that's a sin issue and that there's no disease or illness concept in there at all, that's just a bunch of bunk.
What would I say to him?
Yeah.
Well, then, that's not good. That says I'm pretty much a doomed sore.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's right. I think you kind of described it when you talked about, I didn't wake up today and decide to cheat on my wife, kill a man, eat a dog,
Yeah.
And, there's many people. I was just thinking of the other person we have up that, the wife's going to court. And, I mean, that guy was one of the guys that you turn your head and your stuff will be gone. And you just, instead of just crazy. Now
voted the least likely to ever survive this thing. Yeah. Yeah.
And out of the blue,
Mm-hmm.
And now he's rocking it,
Yeah.
And so I mean, I guess one of the things that I know that this program focuses on, and that's to get your brain out of that, and get you a reprieve, get your brain kind of thinking and tap into something that can do that.
Right.
And I guess that's in a nutshell. Without that, I'm doomed, because I've said it a million times. I don't have the power in me myself.
Yeah.
To stay sober, because I proved it for years and years and years to try to figure out how to be normie, and I never could do it.
Because you're number 4 in this description, so am I.
Oh, from to the core.
No matter how much we want to stop, no matter, we just don't have the ability.
Stop. That's right.
So for someone to say, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, not only can I not do that, I don't have any straps, let alone boots.
That's right.
I'm barefoot.
I'm Birkenstock wearing right here. Yeah.
So something that I was thinking, and I have said this to folks before, when they say that, I say, what is it that you do that you just can't figure out why you can't stop doing it?
Chew on your fingernails. Yeah.
Overspending. Gossip.
Yep.
What do you keep falling into, and it just keeps happening over and over and over again, and you tend to beat yourself up over it when you do it. You can't figure out why you keep doing it. You're praying, you're up at that altar every Sunday, God forgive me, and you keep doing it. I think everybody's got something. And it's just that some of our stuff screams louder. Active addiction to chemicals and alcoholism, sexual addiction, pornography, gambling, overspending, they scream real loud because they leave a wake of destruction that's obvious to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But some of these other things, people don't see them. And truth be told, I think everybody could use these steps, man.
Yeah.
I love my buddy, comedian Mark Lundholm, to death, but he makes a statement. He said, how arrogant are we to suggest that everybody needs these steps? And I have to disagree with him, because I don't think there are any completely responsible, mature human beings out there. I think we've all got a ways to go. And we could all benefit from a recovery process, if not just to recover from our own selfish, self-centered attitudes. And isn't that what the big book says is the root of our problem anyway? So we're all in this boat together.
Right.
Just some people's stuff screams louder than others.
Yep.
Oh, man. So it's rough to watch a loved one go through things over and over and over again, My buddy Neil Scott up in Seattle says, how many chances do you give an alcoholic or drug addict? And his answer is as many as it takes.
Mm-hmm.
And look at our buddy that lives in Dallas. Dude, I was like, yeah, what people would say, well, he'll change. I'm going, listen, this is one of those cases that ain't going to happen.
He's a broken man.
It's never going to happen. And it did.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I think part of it is because everybody steps out of the way. We get in God's way thinking we can fix the people.
Yeah.
And until you get out of the way, and Marcia said that years ago, she said, I had to get out of God's way. Otherwise, God told me in my heart, he said, you're going to kill your husband. You got to get out of my way so I can work on him. Mm-hmm. So I come home from a relapse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's got the calendar marked every 30 days. Relapse for the whole year. I'm like, what's this? She goes, well, I need to plan. I've got a job. I've got responsibilities. So you're going to go out and you're going to relapse every 30 days. So I'm just planning.
Make sure I got my stuff taken care of.
And I'm like, what?
A little tricky.
Oh, my gosh.
That's a good one.
One of my kind of co-sponsors years ago, I was all mad about something. And he says, get in the car. I go, where are we going? He goes, just get in the car. So we get in the car. He lived across the street from Ma's Dairy Farm. He drives across the street. I go, what are we doing here? And he goes, get out of the car. Oh, what? Get out of the car. He takes me into the bar. He slams $5 down on the counter. He goes, now order whatever it is you want to drink because I'm sick of your wine. And I'm like, what? You can't be serious.
That's rad.
I know. I said, I can't drink. And he goes, well, I thought that's what you wanted to do. Like, oh, my God. Oh,
that's a good one.
I know. Right on, man. All right. So, what are you going to do this week to improve your life, Nathan?
Oh, my goodness.
We got to leave the listeners with some hope, man. We just gave them a pile of, oh, my gosh, these people are doing.
I am going to work 10, 11, 12. I'm going to take an inventory every day. when I'm wrong, I'm going to admit it, fix it, and I'm going to keep talking to the captain upstairs.
Right on.
Day by day.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I thought you were going to say I'm going to work 10, 11, 12 hours a day. Yeah. I said, you already do that.
I know. I'm accused of that, buddy.
Right on. All right. Well, we are out of time. Thanks, buddy.
Later.
All right, everybody. God bless you all. Until our next broadcast is the Monty Man and Nathan. Oh, by the way, if you want a printout of those 4 types of alcoholics, addicts, and so forth, just email me here. I'll send you a PDF file. Take12radio@comcast.net. All right. So until our next broadcast is the Monty Man and Nate. We're wishing God's perfect serenity.
Peace and serenity.
Yes, for you. Bye-bye now.
This has been a broadcast of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
Kitty.
What?
Oh, sorry.
Meow.